Hey guys, what's going on? It's the LA Fakers, and we're here with yet another NFL Nitro video. New Year's edition! Yay! It's James Show
Yay!
Jam, joined by,
Jackofett 9.
yes sir, and today we're going to be talking about the Week 16 games in NFL and giving our predictions for Week 17. Should be an interesting week. Wait, it's not, are we going into Week 18?
Correction. We're in week 17 going into week 18.
It's going so quick. Anyway, let's just get into it. Happy New Year's to everyone. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, 2024 has been a great year, I think, for both of us, for both of our sports franchises of the Browns and the
Cavaliers.
Broncos.
Oh,
Yeah, let's hope 2024 is better. Let's get right into it.
2025.
Yeah.
The first game of Week 17. It was the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Pittsburgh Steelers 29-10. In this game, it was probably Mahomes' best game of the season, Patrick Mahomes. He lit it up, put up over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. That's the type of day you want to see from him, especially right before the playoffs. And that is why we always know the Chiefs are, so dangerous when it comes to the playoffs, is because with the Mahomes under center, anything's possible. But yeah, he had a great game against the Steelers D. Kareem Hunt had a rushing touchdown, but other than that, not much to go in the rushing game. But the receiving game felt like everyone was having big days. Travis Kelce, first off, shout out to him, 8 for 84. What are you doing, bro? He had a touchdown. He also got to 1,000 career catches, so shout out to Travis Kelce. As also broke the receiving touchdowns record for Chiefs players. All-time tight end, shout out to him. Xavier Worthy had a good game as well. 8 for 79 and a touchdown. He's been playing well recently as well. He's turning it up and having a pretty solid rookie season. Justin Watson also got into the end zone, had 60 yards on 2 catches. Now, at the Steelers, though, their offense obviously struggled. They only put up 10 points. And the main guy to blame is obviously, it has to be Russell Wilson. He's the guy that runs the show. It just wasn't a good game. He's been playing pretty poorly recently. Last week, against the Ravens, and then this week. He had 205 yards in the air, did throw a pick. Only averaged under 6 yards per attempt, which is terrible for quarterbacks. But he did put up 55 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown. But overall, not a good game. The run game was solid. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren combined for 24 carries and 145 yards, but didn't result in points really. For the Steelers, Freiermuth had a good game, putting up 60 yards. Pickens was solid in his first game back, and Warren also put up 41 yards in the air. But disappointing loss for the Steelers. If I'm a team and matched up, I don't know who's matched up to play them right now, but I wouldn't be scared. The Steelers are probably the team I most want to see out of all the teams, excluding the Broncos probably. But their offense is just lackluster, so they do have a great defense, but there's only so far you can go if you can't put up points and you're turning the ball over. Yeah, overall, good win for the Chiefs. They secure the 1 seed, so they'll be resting their players.
Yay. But the next game was the Baltimore Ravens dominating the Texans all throughout the game. I mean, if you said that the Pittsburgh Steelers offense was awful, then I don't know what to tell you about the Texans. They were catastrophe. But the Texans only putting up 2 points in a 31-2 slaughter. The Ravens just absolutely manhandling the Texans. Starting with the Texans, CJ Stroud was not very good. He's honestly, he's just not been, what he was last year. But to me, he just doesn't seem like he's improving all that much. He's had a couple rough stretches this year, and it seems like he's going through one. He threw for 185 yards, 0 touchdowns and 1 interception. It's just he has had a few injuries. We've got to remember. Obviously, the two top wide receivers have been out, but surely they have other talent that can at least score some type of points on offense. I would think, because their wide receivers and tight ends, other than their top two, aren't very good. I feel like that was one of their strong suits last year, was their depth. People could come in and kind of, do the job, but this year it just doesn't seem like it. But also not helping him was that run game. Joe Mixon, he's had some great games this year, but he's also had some not great games. This was one of them. He was just eaten alive. He only had 9 carries for 26 yards. Just not quite great enough, to get anything going. And just offensively, they got nothing going. They didn't even score an offensive point. I'm pretty sure the only points they got were a safety. So, I mean, it's just, it's awful, especially going into basically playoff time. Let's be real, the way that they've been playing, do not deserve playoffs. I mean, I'm happy that they're in, but yeah, they're probably, at this rate, they're going to be a first round exit, which sucks, but...
Who are they going to play?
The Steelers, actually, they might play.
That'll be a good match. Both teams suck.
But yeah, obviously, it cannot be stated enough how terrible of an offensive game this is. They need a better game against Jacksonville. I'm not completely sure who they play next week, but they just need a better game. I think that if they could have their bench, I'm not sure. But yeah, overall, not a good game for them. But moving on to the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he did a decent job, throwing for 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That's a fine game, considering they only tried for like 2 quarters, and then just kind of tried to run for the rest of the game. I'm pretty sure for the whole second half, they were just running the clock out. And that especially helps when you have Derrick Henry, who had 27 carries for 147 yards and a touchdown. Big game for him, as always. Lamar did add on the ground with 87 yards of his own, plus a touchdown, so it was quite a fine performance on the ground. They were just dominating the Texans everywhere, left, right, and center. The Texans were getting dominated, and yeah, that's really all there was to this game. It was just a blowout from start to finish. Mark Andrews was also the leading receiver with 68 yards and a touchdown. But except for that, great win for the Ravens as they look to claim the North.
The next game, probably the game of the week, it was the Seattle Seahawks giving it to the Bears and pulling up a very impressive 6-3 win, in a win that in the end didn't matter at all, because at the time they believed they still had a chance, but it is officially over due to some strength of schedule stuff for the tiebreaker. So no matter how next week goes, the Seahawks aren't making the playoffs. Unfortunately, I actually wanted to see them go in, but let's go back to this game. This game was, as you can probably tell by the score, 6-3. It was terrible. No touchdowns were scored by either team. No offense was doing anything, pretty much. We'll start with the Seahawks. Geno Smith was not good. He put up 160 yards, to be fair, but just not good enough. 17 for 23. No touchdowns, no picks. Their run game wasn't great either. Zach Sharp and they was struggling. Did have 15 or 57 total yards, but rushing yards. Overall, they got it done, to be fair, but their offense, that's not the type of performance you want to see. Anybody wants to watch either. Kenny McIntosh had a pretty good game. 7 carries for 46 yards. But moving on to their receiving, there wasn't much to talk about. Noah Fant put up 43 yards. DK put up 42. And then Jackson Smith the Jigba had a 32-yard game. Yeah, nothing crazy, nothing really to note in this game. The Bears, it was a bit of a different story, but still the same. Caleb Williams wasn't perfect. As it's been, as you know, the whole season he didn't get much help either. His O-line wasn't helping, and he put up 120 yards and threw an interception. Did put up 30 yards rushing, but overall just not really good enough. Made some solid throws, but yeah. Not the best performance. DeAndre Swift put up just over 50 yards on the ground. They put up 28 yards in the air as well. Their rushing attack continues to struggle. It's been pretty bad recently. DJ Moore put up 54 yards. Overall, though, the Bears had 179 total yards. Seahawks only had 265. It was just a grinded out, terrible game. Just whoever can get, more solid drives just to get into field goal range. There wasn't much, but Seahawks won it. It doesn't really matter for either team at this point, now that the Seahawks are eliminated. But, yeah, I guess there wasn't a good win. So.
Well, moving on, it was maybe the actual game of the week, and a game that everyone enjoyed other than Broncos and Bengals fans. It was the Bengals managing to get the win over the Broncos in overtime, 30 points to 24 in what was a very close game, a lot of offense, a lot of, clutch moments. Starting with the Bengals, Joe Burrow, he was amazing. He was great. He threw for 412 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was just phenomenal. Also did rush for 25 yards and a touchdown. Chase Brown also added 67 yards and a touchdown. Oh, sorry, just 67 yards on the ground. Obviously, a phenomenal game from the quarterback, and I mean, he's putting up MVP-like numbers. And if he had a solid defense, he would probably win MVP, to be honest. But it'll most likely go to either Lamar or Josh Allen. T. Higgins, he was phenomenal. He was cooking Riley Moss and just any other corner other than PS2, literally all game. He had 11 catches for 131 yards and 3 touchdowns. He could not be stopped. We just straight up could not stop him. Jamar Chase was, had a very Jamar Chase-like game, putting up 9 receptions for 102 yards. No touchdowns though. Mike Gesicki had 10 receptions for 86 yards, and they were just phenomenal. All of their players were just phenomenal throughout the game. T. Higgins, he did have a fumble caused by PS2, but ultimately the Broncos couldn't capitalize. I mean, yeah, if you hadn't, I guess, in OT, their backup kicker, Cade York, former Brown, had a chance to win it and missed. It didn't end up mattering, they still ended up scoring. There was a lot from this game. We just weren't amazing, to be honest. But yeah, moving on to the Broncos. Bo Nix had himself a pretty good game. 219 yards with 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. Overall, I think that's a pretty fine game from the rookie. Jaleel McLaughlin was our top running back with 10 carries for 69 yards. Nice. He needed more carries. He was cooking. He was doing so well. Bo Nix also had 7 carries for 31 yards. So overall, the backfield actually had one of its more productive games, for sure, which I'm pretty happy with. Receiving wise, Marvin Mims had himself a really nice game, his best game of his career, 8 catches for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns, including 1 touchdown in dying seconds of the game to force it to OT. Cortland Sutton had 5 receptions for 55 yards and a touchdown. Also to note on defense, Zach Allen had 3.5 sacks, an absolute monster game from him. But as I kind of mentioned before, Marvin Mims had a touchdown and we wanted to go for 2. Sean Payton changed his mind. In my opinion, I think we should have gone for 2. We didn't, and we ended up not doing anything in OT and losing. It's a tough loss, you know. I'm still, you know, thinking of the positives though. We took Joe Burrow and the Bengals to, you know, OT. I'm okay with that result, you know. Actually make the playoffs. But yeah, overall great win for the Bengals because that keeps their slim playoff chances alive. And yeah, good win for them.
But moving on to a game that involved another AFC West team. It was the LA Chargers absolutely decimating the New England Patriots. 40-7. It was a big win for the Chargers. You know, it clinched a wild card spot for them as well. I think we just have to give credit where it's due to Jim Harbaugh for, you know, his first season as the coach, and they look a lot better. Like, they're about to be a playoff team, and honestly, I'd be scared of playing them. He's also got Herbert playing amazingly. Herbert put up 281 yards, 3 touchdowns. This is actually his first game with more than 2 touchdowns this season in the air. But a big reason for that though was the Patriots front seven couldn't get any pressure on Herbert. He had all day, so made it easy to just sit in the pocket. J.K. Dobbins was also back, his first game back after being in IR, missed 4 weeks, and he had a great game. He had 19 carries for 76 yards and put in a touchdown. Overall, a very fine performance for his first game back, and I think they're personally a lot better with him out there. He's having a very good season. Lad McConkey continues his brilliant season. He put up 94 yards, 2 touchdowns on 8 catches. Quentin Johnston and Josh Palmer also got involved. Overall, just a dominant performance by the Chargers offense. As for the Patriots, it was a struggle. Drake May did not have a great day. He put up 117 yards, did have a passing touchdown. The 1 touchdown they scored the game. Also 30 yards on the ground. Not a good game though, but like, I mean, he's young and the Patriots team is not doing much to help, just like Caleb Williams, you know, they're both in bad situations. Antonio Gibson was fine, he put up over 60 rushing yards on 12 carries. Demario Douglas was the bright spot for the Patriots. He put up 46 yards and scored the 1 touchdown on a 36-yard dime from Drake May, not the Patriots. But overall, just a dominant game. They put up over 200 more total yardage than the Chargers did, so just absolute domination. But good for the Patriots because now they have it. Thanks to the Giants, they have the #1 pick in the NFL draft.
Yes, sir.
Get ready. You know, Drake May's gonna have a weapon real soon.
Well, the next game was the Arizona Cardinals and the Rams grinding it out in a close 13-9 win for the Rams. A big game, big playoff implications. This win, I believe, actually eliminated Seattle from the playoffs. And Arizona came into this game really with no, reason, because they couldn't even make the playoffs. They were eliminated last week. And yeah, they still obviously wanted to play dominant, the Cardinals. But getting into the game, Matthew Stafford, he was pretty decent. He didn't do too much though. He only had 189 yards passing, 0 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. Pretty clean overall. Oh my god. But Kyron Williams, he was pretty solid, I would say, for his standards as well. 13 carries for 56 yards and a touchdown. That's a pretty decent game from him. I mean, he was really bang. He was really the only rushing for the team. There just weren't many yards for the game. It was a lot of punts, obviously, not many points. Receiving Puka Nakua, he's still going off. He's one of the best receivers in the league. He had 10 receptions for 129 yards. It's a great game from him. He was basically the whole offense, as he has been this whole season. Cooper Kupp only had 1 catch for 29 yards. He got third on my fantasy team, so you know, he's bringing home a trophy at least. But yeah, there just weren't many great offensive stats for the Rams. But the biggest stat was, I believe it was it a Keller with a spoon who had the amazing acrobatic interception to end the game.
Yeah.
That was kind of the main, you know, play that happened. The Cardinals right on the goal line, and a Keller with a spoon. Well, I should say Kyler Murray chucked it onto Trey McBride's head. It bounced off his helmet, and a Keller with a spoon with a beautiful interception. Alright, well, for the Cardinals, Kyler Murray had a decent day. He threw for 321 yards, 1 touchdown. Did have 2 interceptions, obviously, as mentioned before. The big game losing interception, not completely his fault, but yeah, overall it was a decent day from him. Michael Carter was their leading rusher. I suppose James Conner was out with injury, or maybe he's just sick of playing for the Cardinals. I wouldn't blame him. Michael Carter had 13 carries for 70 yards. A pretty good day for him overall, as kind of their running back 2, having to be forced into the running back 1 role. That's a great day from him. Kyler added with 32 on the ground. So overall, it was a decent day offensively. Trey McBride went off in the fantasy championship week. 12 catches for 123 yards and 1 touchdown. What a great week. Finally, as well, got his first touchdown of the season. You love to see it. He's been one of the best tight ends in the league. Maybe the best, you know, some could say. He's been great. But behind him, Marvin Harrison had 6 catches for 96 yards. He's been really stellar. I know he kind of gets a lot of backlash because he was a quote-unquote generational talent, and he hasn't, for some reason, hasn't. Yeah, I know, but a lot of people say he hasn't lived up to it because he hasn't got 1,000 yards. Like, let's relax here. Kyler Murray can't even see him somehow, most of the time, so. But yeah, he's been really stellar as a rookie. I don't think there's too many complaints you can have for him. He's been really nice. And that guy just scored. And you want to say for that. But yeah, overall, it wasn't a great game. There were a couple just not amazing games to start the year.
Week.
To start the week. But yeah, this was definitely one of them. Overall, great win for the Rams, so they do clinch the playoffs with that win and eliminate Seattle, which I'm pretty happy with, if I haven't mentioned already.
The next game is one of the most devastating wins of the season. It's the New York Giants pulling it out 45-33 over the Indianapolis Colts. Also a devastating loss for them. It ended the Colts season, and the Giants fell. They had the first overall pick, they lost it. I believe they now have the 4th overall pick after that win, as they are now 3-13 with the rest of the crash teams. It's also their first home win of the season, the Giants, by the way. They made sure they were going to get one in. But it was a dominant game from who other than Drew Lock, the starting quarterback in New York.
Yes, sir.
Former Bronco. He put up 309 yards, as well as 4 passing touchdowns. Let's not forget, he also had a rushing touchdown. That's 5 total touchdowns by Drew Lock. Crazy. The Giants were also massively helped out by a 100-yard kick return touchdown to start the second half by Emir Smith Marset. Let me know if I said that right, but I think I did. And that was a massive play. Yeah, the kick return was massive. Tyron Tracy didn't have a great game,
And what else?
averaging under 3 yards per carry, but did finish with 59. But, you know, Malik Neighbors, what a performance. 7 catches for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. He surpassed the 1,000 yards mark for the season as well. It's clear that the Giants found a future superstar in Malik Neighbors. Wandale Robinson also had a good game, put up 71 yards and a touchdown. And Slayton had a 32-yard touchdown as well. The Colts also just couldn't pressure Drew Lock. I guess he's just him. They had 0 sacks on the New York Giants. They have a few solid O-linemen, but overall, that Giants O-line is not where it should be. And so getting 0 sacks is really saying something. For the Colts, very disappointing loss, obviously. Joe Flacco was not good. He put up 330 yards, 2 touchdowns, but also had 2 interceptions. He, of course, started because of Anthony Richardson being out. Anthony Richardson was out with back spasms. Apparently it's pretty bad. But that ruined their season because now it's over. Jonathan Taylor had a great game though. 32 carries, 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, like he said yesterday, last week, he might feel a little guilty because of that Broncos game incident, but he played well. Alec Pierce having a great season, had another great game, put up 122 yards and a touchdown. Pittman was the other receiver to reach the century mark. He also had a touchdown. But I mean, overall, disappointing for the Colts, for sure, when they were so close to playoffs. I've been saying it all year, I don't think they're even as good as their record says, but that Colts team, there's something about it. They don't feel like a normal team for whatever reason.
They don't actually.
But, very disappointing loss, and Giants fans probably aren't too happy either with the win, because now they might miss out on both Hunter and the 2 quarterbacks. Tough loss and tough win for both teams, you know. I don't think anyone walks out happy. Other than Drew Lock.
Other than Drew Lock and the quote-unquote morale of the Giants.
Yeah.
Also, I'd just like to add, kind of with the Anthony Richardson thing, I'm pretty sure Cam Newton came out and said for him to change his play style, because running into guys isn't going to work. And, I mean, it's early days, obviously, you know, this is just one injury. He's been injured, yeah, quite a bit, actually. And, you know, Cam Newton, he's been around, even if he may or may not have CTE.
I trust Cam.
Yeah, I mean, he plays... He's probably the most comparable player to Cam Newton, just size-wise and how they play. Like, I mean,
That's fair.
You've got Cam Newton, you listen to Cam
He's like
Newton.
Cam Newton if Cam Newton sucked.
Exactly, he's Cam Newton if Cam Newton couldn't play quarterback. Like, that's literally all he is. Moving on to that, it was the Bills annihilating the New York Jets, 40 points to 14. Just a slaughter. The Jets really had no chance, you know. As soon as they came out of the tunnel with Gangster's Paradise, I think it was, I think everyone knew it was over. They just did not perform well. Starting with the Jets, A-Rod did not play a great game. He threw 12 to 18 for 112 yards, 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Just not great.
I just absolutely killed them.
Yeah, A-Rod's just not the same. It'll be interesting to see if literally anybody picks him up. I don't think it's, at this point, I honestly don't think it's crazy at all to say that it's not worth it to pick A-Rod up. He's clearly just a locker room mess. He's not a leader at all. He cares more about drugs than he does playing the game. And he sucks. He sucks.
He does.
As you can tell, I'm a little bit heated because I predicted them to be the like #1 seed in the AFC, and they suck. But you know, the one bright spot of the day, I will say, Tyrod Taylor came in, and the Bills fans, very heartwarming. They welcomed him back with an applause, as he was the quarterback to take him to the playoffs before Josh Allen in 2017. He was the guy to do it. And he had actually a pretty solid game. Threw for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. So he's straight up. I personally do think he's actually a really solid quarterback. Rushing wise, Breece Hall was decent with 10 carries for 45 yards. Isaiah Davis was actually quite nice with only 3 carries but 35 yards. Garrett Wilson, who seems to want out, he was pretty decent. He did 7 receptions for 66 yards and a touchdown. He had a fine game overall. Tyler Conklin, he was decent with 8 receptions for 57 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, I mean, it's just been a bad season. We've said it a million times. We're gonna keep saying it until they fixed it. Anyways, moving on from them. Josh Allen, he had a pretty solid day. He didn't have to do all that much, so his stats weren't amazing. But he still threw for 182 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. A really nice game from him. I mean, I say his stats aren't good, they are very nice. And Mitchell Trubisky, yes, Mitchell Trubisky came in for like 1 snap, went 1 for 1 for 69 yards and a touchdown. A very nice game from him overall. And yeah, I mean, that's just the state of the Jets. They can just let Mitchell Trubisky come in and ball out against them. I mean, it's kind of crazy. James Cook, he was very solid, as he has been all season. 15 carries for 53 yards and a touchdown. Josh Allen also added with 17 on the ground and a touchdown. A really nice game from the potential MVP, obviously. Receiving, because of that Mitchell Trubisky play, Terrell Shavers was actually their leading receiver with 1 catch for 69 yards and a touchdown. Amari Cooper, he was very solid. 3 catches for 56 yards and a touchdown. Matt Collins was okay. And the rookie Keon Coleman came in and snagged a touchdown as well. Overall, a very great game for the Buffalo Bills. They just get the job done, and they lock up the 2 seed with that win. So yeah, good win for them, and terrible loss for the, well, good loss I guess for the Jets, as they will get a better draft pick.
Next up is the battle of the 2 teams who were trying to lose. It was the Jacksonville Jaguars beating the Tennessee Titans 20-13. Mac Jones had a great day, put up 174 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he's ruining their season by winning these games. But yeah, he played well. Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby combined for 82 yards on 26 carries. Not great. Overall, neither of them really stood out. Neither of them even had a 3.5 yard per carry. Brian Thomas Jr. continues his excellent season. 7 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. At this point, I just want the Browns to draft every LSU receiver. We'll find someone eventually. But for the Titans, Mason Rudolph is starting still. Yeah, Mason Rudolph, not a great game. Put up 190 yards passing, 20 rushing. Did have a passing touchdown as well as an interception. Tajay Spears had a good day. Put up 95 rushing yards. Calvin Ridley picked up 84 receiving, while Okonkwo put in 42. Overall though, both teams are on the end of terrible seasons, and this loss is greatly going to benefit the Titans, as they have currently the number 2 overall pick, probably gonna. I say there's a very high chance that they look at one of the 2 QBs. Yeah. Tough loss for the Jags as well. I mean, win. Tough win. So one of the teams had to win that, so is what it is, I guess.
It was in yet another game which teams shouldn't be winning. It is the Raiders getting the win over the New Orleans Saints, 25 points to 10, draining their draft stock. And I mean, it's actually gonna be kind of a crazy draft, not even because of the prospects. Like the prospects, they're decent, I would say, but I don't even think they're as good as last year's. But the fact that I don't think we've ever seen such tank jobs ever. Like over nearly half the league is trying to tank for the number 1 pick, and half the league could get it. It's crazy. I mean, the Raiders have just completely destroyed their stock by winning these last 2 games. They've won back-to-back now, and they're not even they might have the 10th pick. It's crazy at probably 4-13. But moving on to the game, Aiden O'Connell played really nicely. He had 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I mean, he's giving the Raiders fans hope in case they do actually have to have him as their starting QB. There's a couple options, you know. I mentioned A-Rod, maybe Sam Darnold, or maybe they keep with Aiden O'Connell. Amir Abdullah, he's been really nice for them this year. He had 20 carries for 115 yards. Didn't have a touchdown, but still a great game from him overall, and he definitely carried a lot of the load on offense. Receiving wise, Brock Bowers was decent with 7 catches for 77 yards. A really stellar rookie for sure. Could win Rookie of the Year, and I could see it, to be honest. He's been one of the best. Jacoby Myers was really solid as well. 5 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. Amir Abdullah had 32 yards receiving as well, so a great game by him. Oh my. But yeah, overall, a really good game from the Raiders at the worst time. I mean, I don't even know if I should be saying it's a good game when the Saints are most likely just tanking at this point. Every team is tanking, and it's just crazy at the moment. But Spencer Rattler, he was okay at best. He threw for 218 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. It's been pretty tough for him this year. He was also the team's leading rusher with 46 yards. Clyde Edwards-Hilaire, didn't even know he was on the Saints, to be honest. He was the actual leading rusher for the Saints. That makes sense. He had 20 yards. Jawan Johnson, the tight end, he was their leading receiver with 6 catches for 66 yards. Foster Moreau, the actual tight end, had 47 yards and a touchdown. And overall, there really wasn't much to this game. I've kind of just gone through it. The Raiders shouldn't have won. It's a good loss for the Saints. And yeah, I mean, it's just a weird time right now. Every team's tanking, and I mean, the Raiders, I hope that they win out. You know, I hope that they beat the Chargers as well, just to get a worse pick. It's kind of crazy to think that if they were to probably go 5-12, and I'm going on a bit of a rant, but if they were to go 5-12, they'd probably have a worse pick than they did last year, and last year they went 8-9. So, very weird thing to think about, but hey, it could happen. But yeah, it's a win for the Raiders, that's for sure.
Next up was a game that featured one of the best quarterback performances of the week by who other than Baker Mayfield. He was amazing. He put up 360 yards, 5 touchdowns, had a high completion percentage as well, was just absolutely cooking the Panthers, leading the Buccaneers to a 48-14 win over the Panthers. Dominant win. and a big win for the season because the Falcons also lost, so they have recaptured the division lead. It's the division. They're just switching it every week. It feels like the division leader. But yeah, dominant game for Baker Mayfield. Bucky Irving had a great game, put up 113 yards. As a team, their 3 running backs combined for 182 on just 34 carries. Had a great day rushing and receiving. The Panthers defense couldn't do anything. Mike Evans continues his journey and his quest for 1,000 yards. He
What
put
is
up.
this, Elden Ring?
It feels like I really hope he gets it. But yeah, back on Mike Evans, he put up 97 yards, 2 touchdowns on 8 catches, which puts him at 915 yards for the season. Hopefully he gets to 1,000. But he had a big game. Bucky Irving actually had 77 receiving yards. How did I score? Jalen McMillan put in 2 receiving touchdowns and 50 yards. But as I said, the Buccaneers were just dominating the Panthers pretty much on every facet. Just their defense couldn't do anything, and offense was not great. Bryce Young had overall a solid performance. Good for how he was playing last year, early in the season. 203 yards, 2 touchdowns. He got sacked 5 times to the Panthers O-line. Similar to the Giants, they have some solid linemen, some pieces, but it's just not complete yet. And yeah, it was struggling. The Panthers just couldn't run the ball, couldn't get the run game going at all. As a team, they had 39 rushing yards on 13 carries for a measly 3 yards per carry. And the only real receiver that got going was Adam Thielen, who's been playing amazingly. He put up 5 catches for 110 yards and had the 2 touchdown receptions. Overall, a big win for the Buccaneers season, and I mean they might be lightning in a bottle back there. I think they're also a dangerous playoff team, but how Baker Mayfield can play at its peak. But we'll just have to see which Baker Mayfield they get next week and potentially in the playoffs. Big win though. Panthers, Panthers playing better as of recently. Not a good game though.
But yeah, moving on to that game, it was the Philadelphia Eagles dominating the Dallas Cowboys 41 points to 7. The Cowboys have put the Q in the rack for the year. They're no longer playing competitive football. They are done. Starting with the Cowboys, I suppose. Cooper Rush, he played an okay game. He threw for 147 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Not the best game from him this year. He had some pretty bright spots, I'd say. Also some low lights. Very up and down. They probably have missed Dak. But then again, Dak wasn't even that amazing. He wasn't even that great, so I don't know. It's very interesting. On the plus side, Trey Lance came in, had a 100% completion rate, through one completion for 1 attempt for 1 yard, so that's a bright side right there. But the actual bright side, Rico Dowdle went off with 23 carries for 104 yards, a really solid game from him. And yeah, he's been a really solid rookie. He's just been a great back for them. Who knows what they do? I think I've said it maybe a couple weeks ago, Ashton Dempsey to the Cowboys, but if they have Rico Dowdle, they could probably address another problem for sure. But yeah, he was basically their really only offense. Receiving wise, Brandon Cooks had 4 receptions for 52 yards. Jalen Tolbert was the only touchdown grabber, and he also had 30 yards receiving. But overall, yeah, just no great game offensively or defensively. it just does seem like they've completely given up for the season. Which is fair enough. I mean, they're out of the playoffs. There's nothing much to play for. Just play for a better pick. And at this point, it's kind of crazy because they might not even get a better pick. Win or lose, I mean. Yeah, it's weird. But moving on for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts was out. So the Philadelphia resident, Kenny Pickett, came in and balled out. Not really, but he threw 10 for 15, 143 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. He was okay. He wasn't the best, but not the worst either. But Tanner McKee actually came in for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he actually did pretty well for a third stringer, throwing with a 75% completion rate, with 54 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was kind of him, I'm not gonna lie. 66% of his completions are touchdowns. So, I mean, he's kind of the greatest quarterback of all time. But yeah, Saquon, he was dominant. 31 carries for 167 yards. He broke the 2,000-yard rushing mark with this game, with this dominant game, and he's the best running back in the league. I don't care. Derrick Henry, he's close, but he ain't Saquon. Saquon is just insane. He really is. He's so dynamic. He's just him. He seriously is him. And is for sure the best non-QB in the league, maybe.
Miles Garrett exists.
But receiving wise, Devontae Smith had a pretty decent game. Had a really good game, I should say. 6 receptions for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. Balled out, was great for them. AJ Brown, he wasn't the best, to be honest. He's had some just mid games and some great games this year. He kind of reminds me a bit of DK Metcalf. Just can be really good at times and really bad at others. But he had 3 receptions for 36 yards and a touchdown, so it was a fine game from him. I mean, yeah, there wasn't really too much to be said. It was just not really a great game for the Cowboys. And with that win, the Philadelphia Eagles clinched the NFC East, so they should be pretty happy with that performance. Obviously, they are back, and pending that, Jalen Hurts is obviously not injured, but come playoff time, they'll be definitely a dominant force. I assume they'll rest most of their players though.
The next game
Okay.
is the Miami Dolphins pulling out the win over the
So it's what the-
Cleveland Browns, 20-3. Personally, I don't want to talk too much about the game, but keep it quick.
Come on, get into it.
Tua missed the game with a hip injury, so Tyler Huntley had to play, and he played amazingly. I'll give him that. Former Brown at the start of the season. We chose DTR over him, I guess. But 22 for 26, 225 yards and a touchdown. Also had 52 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown. He played an amazing game. He managed the game well. Did exactly what they needed and keeps the Dolphins' hopes alive. All they need is they have to beat it. I think they play the Patriots, so they should be able to do that. And they need the Chiefs, though. Chiefs backups to beat the Broncos, and then they're in. Tough ask, but they kept the season alive. Tyreek Hill had a great game, one of his best of the season. Even though it's been a rough season, he's had a few good games here and there. He finished with 105 yards and 9 catches. Overall, yeah, disappointing though for the Browns. I mean, no Jalen Waddle, no Tua, and we got cooked. But it's not even really our defense. Our offense. Oh boy. Dorian Thompson-Robinson started again. He was 24 for 47, 170 yards, 1 interception. I think that's 10 interceptions on his career now. He has 1 touchdown. It's not good.
How do you have 24 completions and only, what, 140 40 yards? Yeah,
70.
170.
He's checking it down every play. That's how. 47 attempts. And only 170 yards.
Chuck it up, young blood.
He's not good. I don't trust him chucking it up. Not gonna lie. But anyway, I honestly don't mind it. I'm glad he's playing though, because he sucks. At least it secures that we're not gonna have any disaster like the Giants or the Raiders and winning a late game. We should be able to lose out thanks to Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Our running backs were solid. We had 24 carries from the running backs for 104 yards. Foreman got most of the carries in this one, so that was interesting. I would have thought Ford, but what do I care? The season's over. I did like seeing Jerry Jeudy. He had a much better game than last week. 12 catches for 94 yards. John Akins had a good game as well for putting up 50 yards. Obviously, filling in for David Njoku, who's a key piece in health. So I'm not mad at this loss at all, because I'm actually really happy because we have a top 3 pick in the draft right now. And I honestly can't wait for the draft. But yeah, it's a good win for the Dolphins though, especially with the injuries coming into the game. Yeah, way to stay composed and just keep your season alive. That's all I gotta say, you know. Shout out the Browns.
Okay. Well, moving on from that, it was one of the better games of the week. Yes, we finally have a good game, guys. It was the Minnesota Vikings just managing to squeeze it out over the Green Bay Packers, 27 points to 25, in what was honestly a pretty slow start to the game. Yeah, okay. It did slowly get dominated by Minnesota, but Green Bay did come back in it and only just lost. Starting with the Packers, Jordan Love had 185 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. He's definitely cut down on the interceptions, which is great to see. But yeah, obviously wasn't the most amazing game or amazing stats. It was just such a tough game, and it really is tough to do anything on this Vikings defense. Josh Jacobs though, he had 17 carries for 69 yards, nice, and a touchdown. Did also have a fumble though. I don't know if that's his first this season, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was his first. Emmanuel Wilson was also pretty nice with 29 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, overall they were solid, you know. It was a solid backfield for sure, combining for over 100 yards. Romeo Dobbs, he was pretty solid, 7 catches for 58 yards. Tucker Kraft was also pretty decent with 2 receptions for 53 yards. Dontavion Wicks had 43 yards as well. Overall, a pretty solid receiving group. I'd say that's just about what they are. And just a really solid offense overall, but obviously couldn't quite get it done on that elite Vikings defense. Sam Darnold, he had a very stellar game for his, you know, standards, going for 377 yards, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. A very nice game for him, as he's just been elite. Nice stuff. It is gonna be very interesting to see what the Vikings do. Do they go with JJ McCarthy? Do they stay with Sam Darnold? If Sam Darnold leaves, where does he go? Because he's just been balling at me. He's been so amazing. He's come into one of the best positions, like one of the best, I guess, scenarios. You know, elite receivers, elite defense, and he's balled out. So good on him. But moving on, Aaron Jones had 47 on the ground. He was decent against his old Packers. But yeah, not too much else on the ground. Receiving wise, Justin Jefferson had 92 yards. He was great. He was really nice. Jalen Naylor, it was the Jalen Naylor game, I guess. He just randomly has one every season, and this was it. He had 81 yards and 1 touchdown, along with Jordan Addison, who had 69 yards and a touchdown. And TJ Hawkinson also had 68 yards. I mean, they've just got such a great offense. It's insane how many pass catches they have. It's just, they really can't do it all. They just give Sam Darnold the best, opportunity to ball out for sure. And yeah, overall, great win for the Vikings. They will now fight the Detroit Lions. The New York Giants, they go to 14-2 with that win, and now they have to play the Detroit Lions to get the number 1 seed in the NFC, and obviously the NFC North as well. It's crazy to think about, but they are one step closer to that 1 seed, which is pretty good, obviously. Yeah, great win for them. Tough loss for the Packers for sure.
Moving on to the one overtime game of the week that ended in disaster for one team. What?
Disrespect, bro. I get it.
Y'all went there.
Disrespect the Broncos like always.
Well, it was so
But you don't care.
unmemorable because you guys, both offenses started
What?
terrible.
Unmemorable was like the best game of the season.
It was, but
Oh,
the
not the
overtime
season,
I'm
of the
talking
week.
about. Y'all
It was
did
only-
nothing.
it was-
Neither team did
we did
anything
nothing.
to start.
They got a missed field goal, That was pretty peak. That was it.
But the second overtime game of the week, I guess, it was the Washington Commanders beating the Falcons 30-24, which secures them a playoff spot, and it puts the Falcons in a very bad situation going into this final week, as they've lost the division lead. We'll start with the Commanders. There was a lot of questionable stuff from the Falcons, but for the Commanders, it was a Jaden Daniels masterclass. Put up another great game, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception in the air, but also added 127 yards rushing. Amazing day for him. Brian Robinson was solid as well, put in 60 yards rushing. Receiving wise, it was Olamide Zacchaeus who led the team in receiving. He put up 8 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. Zach Ertz also had a very good game, including the game-winning touchdown, where he finished with 72 yards with 2 touchdowns total. A great day for the Commanders offense. For the Falcons, we're gonna start with their questionable finish. They had 2 timeouts late in the game. They were trying to drive to get a field goal, which would have won it. And Raheem Morris just decides, less than a minute to go, he just decides he wants to let the clock run, I guess. They had a 25-yard pass downfield to start the drive. And then they didn't decide to use either of the timeouts. They instead decided to run hurry up. And then they ended up running out of time. Just a disaster. They didn't run out of time on that play, but later in the drive, it was clear that they could have used it. They went into overtime having a timeout in their pocket, so bad decision there by Raheem Morris. The rookie Michael Penix had a very solid performance. Did have an interception, but threw for 223 yards and a touchdown. Bijan Robinson was dominant on the ground, put up 90 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And Drake London had one of his best games of the season, eclipsing the 100-yard mark on 7 catches. Kyle Pitts also came in with a touchdown. It was a great catch too, but overall, Falcons played solid, didn't play enough unfortunately, and that could be the end of the season. We'll have to wait and see what happens with the Buccaneers. It's going to be tough for them to get in. Big one for the Commanders though.
But the final game, Monday Night Football, was between the Detroit Lions and the 49ers in what was a pretty decent game overall. The 49ers 49ers. The Detroit Lions came out on top 40 points to 34. It's a lot of points scored. Starting with the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, he was really nice. 303 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was just really solid. He's been one of their best QBs. He's maybe their second best QB ever after Matt Stafford. He's just been really solid for them. This whole season, I mean, this is maybe his best season of his career, and I mean, so many of these Detroit players are just cooking. Their offense is cooking, obviously. But moving on, Jahmyr Gibbs had himself a day. He was cooking with 18 carries for 117 yards and a touchdown. The touchdown that basically sealed the game for the Detroit Lions and got them the win. Receiving wise, Jameson Williams had 77 yards and a touchdown. I don't know, does that count on the pitch, like, play that they had as well? I'm not completely sure, where they chucked it to Amon-Ra St. Brown and he chucked it back to Jameson Williams. Jameson ran all the way in for a touchdown, so it was a pretty good play overall. Just showing what the Detroit Lions can do. Sam Laporte, he had 64 yards and a touchdown, along with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who had 60 yards and a touchdown. But obviously a very good scoring game from the Detroit Lions. Yet another 40-point game. They're just like the best offense in the league. They really are so good. For the 49ers, Brock Purdy threw for 377 yards, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Joshua Dobbs came in and threw for another 35 yards. So overall, it definitely wasn't the best performance of Brock Purdy's career, but it was a performance. He started the game really well, but ended it pretty badly. So, I mean, yeah, he just sold at the end, unfortunately. Maybe the coaches told him to sell. I wouldn't be surprised. Isaac Guerrero coming in for the injured CMC and other running back that I forgot the name of. He had 34 yards on the ground. He wasn't terrible. But their leading receiver was rookie Ricky Pearsall, who had 8 receptions for 141 yards and a touchdown. He's been really solid for them this year. And I mean, yeah, he's capping it off. That was by far his best game. He did really well. George Kittle had 112 yards, and I believe now he has 1,000 yards on the season. Just showing why he's still one of the game's best tight ends for sure. Juwan Jennings had 67 yards. He's been pretty solid for them this year as well, alongside Isaac Guerrero, who had 60 yards. Deebo Samuel also had a touchdown. For, you know, he finally got the ball. 1 reception. Let's go. And 3. He had more carries than he had receptions. Peak player. But yeah, overall, great win for the Lions. They get the job done, and now they're looking to fight the Vikings for the #1 seed. Anything else you'd like to say in this little intermediate bit?
I did win a fantasy championship this week. Played pretty well.
You did?
Not my best week, but hey, we dominated the other guy, so even with James Conner getting injured. So that was a cool thing. I knew I was gonna win. I feel like I've been in for like 10 weeks, so I was gonna win this. As for how we did, you went 11-5 this week. I went 14-2.
Damn.
You did get your lock of the week wrong, so
I did.
Kind of holding us. I think that's the second lock of the week we've gone wrong together this season. I know I've got one wrong
That
earlier
is.
this season.
I think it was the first time we introduced the lock of the pick, or the lock of the week. Oh my god. You got it wrong
Lock of the
immediately, and then you
Then I
know
locked in
who's locked to get picks.
the first game of the week.
Right. Also, hold on. It's currently New Year's for you. You know.
Oh yay!
Happy
Happy
New
New Year's to me. Everyone rejoice.
Yeah. Not to me though. I'm an hour behind, but Cook.
You'll be there one day. I believe in you.
Wow, you're in 2025 and I'm not. This is sad. The hell is
I got left in 2024.
Don't start that. I'm not that one guy.
Anyway, the first game of the final week of the season, the Cleveland Browns going into Baltimore to play the Ravens on Saturday game. I kind of want to pick the Browns just for the heck of it. But then again, I don't want us to win, so I'm going to pick the Ravens. But, yeah. Do I even have to... We're probably not going to spend too much time on these predictions because a lot of these are just obvious. The Ravens was a bad team, so... Browns suck, DTR sucks.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the Baltimore Ravens as well. Honestly, even if they put their third stringers in, I think they'd still win by 20, so... Give me the Ravens. Not too much to say. Obviously, why would they rest their starters when potentially the Steelers could still snatch the division? But moving on from that, it is the Bengals taking on the Steelers, as I just mentioned, the Steelers. And give me the Bengals. The Bengals have been playing really well recently. They've been hot. Their defense has done enough to keep them in games, and their offense has been able to dominate. I mean, and the Steelers, well, they're kind of cold. They're not really playing all that well. This is obviously a massive game. Yeah, this is a massive game. They are falling off though, for sure. But yeah, give me the Bengals.
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking the Bengals too. They're just in much better form. And also, there's just something different. You know, Steelers are obviously playing for... Well, they might be playing for the division. I don't actually know. But, in the end, there's just something different when you're playing with nothing to lose back against the wall. The Bengals season is on the line here, and I expect that they're going to be able to get it done in Pittsburgh. But the next game, and then now we get into the Sunday slate, it is the Carolina Panthers going into Atlanta to play the Falcons. And I have to pick the Falcons here. Panthers have actually been... They haven't been letting up. They've been playing pretty well. They've been trying to win games. But the Falcons season's on the line. I'd be a fool not to pick them.
I'm going to agree with you here. I think that the Falcons can get the job done over the Panthers. It's in Atlanta as well. Obviously they've looked a lot better with Michael Penix, which has helped a lot. But I'm not gonna lie, I could very well see a Panthers win just for the lols. Like, I could see the Panthers just screwing over the Falcons completely. Like, this is an L that I could see the Falcons taking. But ultimately, you know, big game, maybe the Panthers, they can still kind of potentially get a top 10 pick, I would say. Maybe they'd be thinking towards the future. And the next one, it is the Commanders taking on the Cowboys. And give me the Cowboys. No, not Cowboys. No. The Commanders. They've just been so much better. This is basically, like, I feel like we're getting into the games now where it's just like, what's gonna happen? Are the Commanders just gonna start resting players because they're in the playoffs and have nothing to lose? I don't know. Who knows? But give me the Commanders.
I'm in a tough spot. Because I think the Cowboys are gonna win, but I also said I wouldn't pick them the rest of the season. So I'm gonna go the Commanders. I'm gonna stick with my word. But yeah, I would not be surprised if the Cowboys win. Next game, a divisional matchup. The Chicago Bears going into Green Bay, into Lambeau to play the Packers. I'm gonna take the Bears, just because why not? It's tough to predict Week 18 games, but bit of a guess, you know, maybe Caleb Williams will play well. Don't know who's gonna play for the Packers, but why not? Give me the Bears.
Packers. Anyways, the next game is the Colts taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yes, I was blunt to that. Give me the... yeah. Go Pack, go.
Last time the Bears were right there against the Packers.
Congrats, it's week 18. Why would the Bears want to
But
play for a win?
You think
So
the
stupid.
Packers backups are gonna win, buddy?
Hey,
You acted like week 18 hasn't
Who
been just
says
pure
that the-
chaos every
Who
week,
says
every
the
season.
yeah? Who says the Bears are gonna play their?
I'm saying
starters
we're
well?
about to have the same argument we had
said-
last time. There's no way you don't think the Bears have a chance, though.
I don't
Caleb
care.
Williams-
They just suck. Did you? Hey, get this.
Bro.
Who scored 3 points last week?
Who? Last time they played,
scored
it was
3
a
points last week?
2-point game, buddy. I'm not talking about last
Who
week.
scored
I'm
3
talking
points
about
last week?
week 18.
You were talking. No, you're talking about week like 11.
Why do you love the
That was
Packers
ages
so much?
ago.
It's not that crazy that the Bears could beat them. It's a divisional
It
matchup.
is.
Week 18.
It's-
It's week 18. Oh my god! I
It's
can't believe we're doing this
Atlanta.
again.
Those are tough weeks
Bro.
to play.
It is, but it's week 18.
Listen,
We'll go
this
back
is on
in
you.
the record books
This
to
is on-
every
this
last
one's-
week. It
this
could be
one's on
anything.
you. This one's on you.
Last
Honestly,
time
I was
you was
I was
wrong.
as blunt.
And then you're gonna be
I
wrong
was as
again.
blunt. I was as blunt as I could be. Just said Packers and wanted to move on, but no, you had to
No.
drag it back and talk about the
Because
Bears.
you're acting like I'm crazy again. The
I'm not
Bears have a
fucking
chance.
crazy.
You just said they had no chance.
I'm just pointing out the facts. A team that scored 3 points.
Alright, we're not talking about that.
Could
It's week 18.
Probably not
All
even.
the backups are in. You think
Hey,
that
you're talking about the
a
last
big
time they played. That
difference.
was ages ago.
that was a
I'd rather
couple
go
like
off of
5
what they
weeks
played
ago?
like last week than 5 weeks. 5
I'm,
weeks is a
it's
big
it's
difference.
week 18. Okay, look. I'm gonna put it out here too. I'm also trying to be different to give myself a chance to catch up to you, okay? I have to, just throw some Hail Marys
You
out
got a
there.
Hail Mary. Do you know
Yeah.
how much you've done?
Like 6. So I'm gonna pick at least 6 different
Damn.
ones. I know. I caught up a bit last game, but I think I'm still
You
fair.
did. You could. It's okay.
I really think
Um,
the Bears have a chance. I'm not saying they're guaranteed to win. I could see the Packers winning, obviously, but I do think they have a chance, honestly.
Yeah, okay. Well, the next game is the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on Colts. And you know what? Jags have already themselves out of a top 10 pick. Why not get worse? Give me the Jags.
Colts.
Because... Now, what's wrong with the Jags? Okay, I'm not gonna stop this.
No,
I'm gonna
the
stop
Colts are a
this.
lot. The Jags are really back there.
I don't care. This game's gonna suck.
It's week 18. Man.
The Colts don't necessarily want to win either. Exactly, anything's possible. Jags
Alright,
probably.
well, next game is going to be my lock of the week. It's the Buffalo Bills in New England against the Patriots. I picked the Bills as my lock of the week. Like the last 2 weeks has worked out. The backups are going to be in for the Bills. The Patriots aren't going to win this game. They're the number 1 overall pick though. We've said it back-to-back weeks to be fair. And the number 1 team has won, but
That's true.
I
yeah.
think the Patriots are
But
breaking
this one, it's like it's right there.
yeah,
It's
one
right
more
there.
game.
They just have to lose one. But yeah, I'm agree with you. No, there's not too much to say. I mean, I kind of forgot that they had the number 1 pick. I was actually considering picking the Patriots, but ultimately they have the number 1 pick. I mean, there's been a lot of stupidness. I'm not gonna lie. This league might be the most unprofessional league in the world. It actually might be with how many idiots there are in the league. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Patriots went out and won it. Just because, why not? But yeah, moving on is the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the New York Giants. Give me the Eagles just because Saquon Barkley is gonna carry them.
Yeah, I'll take the Eagles as well. It's in
I
Philadelphia.
know you're going Giants.
I'm not. The Giants, they're not going to win back to back. I mean, the Raiders did it. It's hard to say that, but yeah, I was actually thinking earlier too when you were talking about the Eagles. You were on the recap about Barkley playing, and I do think he's gonna play. I hope he does, and I think he's gonna pop off. But the next game is the New Orleans Saints going into Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers. I'm gonna have to pick the Buccaneers here. Their season's sort of on the line. If they lose, then the Falcons still need a win, but If they win, they clinch the division. So I'm gonna have to trust them. Baker just had one heck of a game as well, and the Saints suck.
But this is gonna be my lock of the week. The Bucks, I think, just the way that they played last week, and the Saints are trash as well. To me, I trust the Bucks more than I actually I trust the Bucks more than I do the Falcons. Like, I just think that the Bucks can go out there and get it done. I kind of do think that the Saints are worse. They did lose to the Panthers.
Shut out the week.
They probably are worse than the Panthers. True, they did get shut out, so they are definitely worse. Yeah, give me the Bucks. And then the next game is the Texans taking on the Titans. Give me the Texans. They might rest players, I don't know. But the Titans should also start losing. Yeah.
Running out of games to be different. I'm gonna go the Texans here.
For real.
I don't think the Titans are gonna lose. They have the second pick in the draft, similar to the Patriots game. I just don't see them losing. I think the Texans want to right their wrongs of last week and try and get, in the right direction before the playoffs start. But the next game will be the 49ers versus the Cardinals. This game could go either way. I don't really care which team I go for. I just don't want to be the same as you. I'm going to pick the Cardinals in hopes that you pick the 49ers. But yeah, it could go either way. Both teams have nothing to play for at this point.
I have the advantage here. I could just pick the Cardinals. But I want to be different. I'll help you.
I respect
I'll
that.
go with the 49ers.
It
The next game is my Denver Broncos taking on the Chiefs. I'm going the Chiefs. I'm sick of the way the Broncos are playing. I've gone the Broncos the last 2 weeks and they've lost. I'm thinking maybe if I go Chiefs, we'll win. I don't know. It's a high pressure game. Hopefully they are probably going to rest all their starters, but still, we find ways to lose games that we really shouldn't. That's been that's been us for the last couple of years, and it wouldn't surprise me that we end up losing this game. Give me the Chiefs.
I've been
Give me that. Oh.
looking into the numbers a lot with the Broncos, and crunching the numbers. It seems like the biggest problem with the Broncos team is you, and whenever you pick them, they lose. So now that you're not picking them, I'm pretty confident they're gonna win. So I'm gonna go the Denver Broncos here, pretty confidently. But the next game is Seattle in LA, a game that has no implications, pretty much whatsoever. I'm gonna go Seattle here, just because I think you might pick LA. You might want to pick LA. Yeah, these two teams. Maybe Seattle will be a bit upset with the Rams, because the Rams took the spot. I don't know. Give me Seattle just because.
You kind of hurt my feelings with the last
I picked your team.
what you said just before. Yeah, but you gotta think from my standpoint. I don't like Seattle.
I know.
I'm picking them to win so that they can get a worse draft pick. And it would also be funny if the Rams, they're like, haha, we have the same record as you, and we're in the playoffs and you're not. That would be hilarious. So give me Seattle. Also, it just makes sense for the Rams to actually just rest everyone. They're in the playoffs. But the next week, it's the Chargers taking on the Raiders. And just because I want the Raiders to get cooked, give me the Raiders. I am hoping that they get cooked. I think this does actually depend a lot on the Ravens game. If the Ravens do win, then the Chargers probably do end up they probably do end up just resting everyone. But if the Ravens somehow manage to lose the guys, then they probably do play everyone. But give me the Raiders.
The Chargers at the Raiders. I'm gonna pick the Chargers because you went the Raiders. the Chargers are a pretty cool team. They're a good team. The Raiders have won back-to-back. They don't need 3 in a row, do they? Surely they know that that's enough. Selling of their draft pick. Next up is the Dolphins
Old boy.
going into New York to play the Jets. I'm gonna pick the Jets here. There is a way where the Dolphins are come into this game with their season already over, and that's if Pittsburgh beats Cincinnati, which is possible. Unlikely probably, but still possible. So I'm hoping for that, and the Dolphins will be demoralized, and the Jets will pull it out.
Give me the Dolphins. I guess. Why would you? Okay. But the last game of the week is the best game. Saved for last. It is the Detroit Lions taking on the Minnesota Vikings in Detroit, and for that reason, give me Detroit. Obviously their defense has been kind of getting cooked, but their offense has been elite. This is gonna be one hell of a game for sure. I mean they are the 2 best NFC teams, and it's kind of crazy that they're in the same division. Arguably, yeah, the 2 best teams in the whole of the NFL. Give me them Lions.
I'm gonna pick Minnesota. This is my game of the week. There wasn't.
Oh yeah, this is my game of the week as well. Sorry.
This is like the
Forgot to mention.
one good game in this week is probably gonna suck, but this looks like it's gonna be a great game. I'm gonna pick the Vikings. You mentioned the Lions' elite offense. The Vikings also happen to have a very, very good offense, depending on how Sam Darnold plays. But he's been balling all season, so no reason to think he wouldn't. And then when you were comparing the defenses, that Lions defense has been very, very poor as of recently. Whereas the Vikings defense is probably the best in the league. You could at least argue it's for sure top 5. So I actually am going to take the Vikings in this final game of the week. But that wraps it up. Oh my gosh!
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh.
Happy New Year's.
Yes, Happy New Year's, everyone.
One for the record books.
It was beautiful. Thank you guys so much for watching yet another NFL Nitro episode. We hope you guys enjoyed as much as we enjoyed making this. We have a blast making it every week for your guys' enjoyment. We'd like to see somebody at this point. We can't even rack in views. It's a downward spiral. We really like for anybody to comment, like, please, if you are here somehow by some miracle, please remember to like and subscribe. It would help us like you wouldn't believe. Is there anything you'd like to say, Jam?
Appreciate all the support. I mean, there wasn't actually any support, but it was a good year.
It was.
We made a lot of stuff, so.
We have. And there's gonna be more to come in the next coming weeks.
We made big strides this year compared to the fake cast back in those days.
That had more views than this though.
Did it? I don't actually remember.
If you look at the views now, they all have like 40 or 60 views.
Damn!
They have so many views now, bro. Compared to this stupid
And this,
nah.
Gotta give it.
I like this better. Like I'm not.
It's
yeah.
all better quality.
I like it better. Alright, well, for the last time of 2024, for me at least, I will be saying goodbye.
Game of the season. Russell Wilson sucks.
Russell Wilson sucks. Yep. We said that at the same time.
The first game of Week 17 was the Kansas City Chiefs. Are you kidding me, bro? I'm sorry him for that performance.
Oh, just wait, 'cause you're lagging. Me like,
No. Maybe a little.
but oh my, maybe a little.
Nothing I
It's fine.
can't
I'm kind of
handle.
soloing these guys anyway.
Hey, that first
Oh.
game was all me. So
Okay.
hopefully they go shoot all so that Browns get Cam Ward, but I don't mind. I like both. Bucko. Oh my god.
Bucko.
Oh, no. Oh, this is my final game. Let's go.
No, you haven't even talked about the freaking.
I'll wait till next time. Oh, wait, overtime. Yeah.
Boy, we're in OT. Oh, you're gonna be the first team whose season is over. That's pretty cool. Congrats. Your misery won't have to go on for much longer.
What do you mean?
You're
Oh,
the
yeah, we're
first
the
game
first
of
game
the,
to play.
of the week. Yep, it is me.
Splash!
Bro.